So the other thing that I'm starting to think about, I've been playing with, you know those hand gyroscopes?
Yeah.
Do you know how it's 2 sliding spheres?
Yeah.
Okay, well these 2 sliding spheres, it's not like a typical gyroscope. A typical gyroscope deals with centrifugal force and centripetal force. So the force within the center as well as the exterior. But when I flip around and do these things, I still don't have centrifugal force.
Right.
I get it if I take this towel and go like this, right? But if I let go, this towel's just gonna fly, right? But when I do it, right, I get it that there's stuff that goes to the exterior, but there's still an interior force. So there's gotta be something within the 2 sliding plates that creates a binding force. This is what I was trying to tell you, right? So this binding force, what attracts it. So when I realized that, I said, then all the cores of the Earth and the Sun have to go in opposing directions, which they do. Now science has said that the reason they go in opposing directions is because of the different magnetisms within the ore itself, in the molten.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's because that's what holds us together, the Earth, the Sun. So if you look at any kind of solar systems and what orbits around a star, the star first has to have rotating inner cores. It has to have a certain rotation to form a solar system, because otherwise that star is going to implode. Because otherwise it's just too hot and there's nothing to bind it. Those 2 opposing plates bind, right? So when you have muscle against skin, let's say, right? You have 2 different types of cells and movements. So this is why myofascia is so key. So as I'm moving like this, right, the myofascia is going in an opposite direction, and so is the epidermis to my muscles. That creates a binding force. Those 2 opposing movements within each other creates the context. So when a system doesn't have, let's say, a well-structured myofascia, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's no binding force, but also the buoyancy laws don't come into play. Right. So like, why does a living body float versus a dead body?
Because of buoyancy.
Right. So the living organism has to have some form of buoyancy law in it, right? Otherwise, you know, that's why, unless, you know, because a living body and a dead body, it's the same mass, but it sinks. Same thing, dead fish, so, you know, whatever. They've lost the buoyancy. Or something within those 2 forces that go. But if you get too heavy, then guess what? You don't have those systems working right, because the fat tissue doesn't work in the same as a living muscle tissue. A fat tissue is not a living, fat tissue performs more like cancer in a sense. That it's more of a mass. Does that make sense? I get it that fat floats because it's lighter, but at the same time it doesn't create that binding force. So I think that's where people like that also end up with bad backs. Now someone like a sumo wrestler that's always playing with this, right? They keep that generation going, just like that gyroscope that I keep going back to, right? But the problem is when someone has cerebral palsy, let's say, they have so much compaction, it's almost like a dense store or like a black hole, but movement can't go through it.
Okay.
So if I tighten my abs or do this, I still can move around it, you know what I mean? Even though I have a specific area that's contracted. But when the contraction is through your system, meaning the myofascia, muscles, your epidermis, all of this aren't moving within each other, that's almost, everything's bound, you know what I mean? Like the force, and it's compressing. And that's where you get the changes in the bone density, the changes in buoyancy there, because the movement can't go through it, just like a black hole.
What you doing?
Make sense? All right.
You can't have Joyce
Another paper.
The Newborn Movement Assessment Guide is available at Amazon.com and at the newbornmovementassessment.com website.
By joining this exciting community, you will learn how to help infants from the moment that they enter the world and change the lives of countless children and families. Out of necessity to help